Hey guys, this is math for Tuesday, May 5th. Okay, here's the deal. I just need to help you understand this. I'm going to be teaching 2 Math 65 lessons today, but you will only have math homework on the second lesson I teach. I will be teaching lesson 129 and 130. They actually go together, and they're pretty simple lessons. And then you'll only have to do set 130. Okay, I just need to make sure you guys understand this so that you're not confused about what set to do. It says on your paper it's 129, 130. You're actually doing set 130. I just need to clarify that. And then Math 76, you are just having one lesson, 129, and your homework will be for 129. So you guys, Math 76, you have 2 less lessons. And so I'm trying to get us to end at the same time. Also, these lessons really do go together. All right, so lesson 129, dividing a decimal number by a whole number. Dividing a decimal number by a whole number is like dividing money by a whole number. The decimal point in the quotient is directly above the decimal point in the division box. Okay, I'm going to write the decimal chart out, and this is what you guys have been asked to do on your math test, and you need to learn this. This is on page 487 in your math book. You do need to learn this so you can remember what to do when adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing by decimals. So I'm going to show you up to this point what we are learning. All right, so decimal chart. You look here, we have rules for adding and subtracting, rules for multiplying, and up till what we're learning today, dividing by, the W means whole number. Okay, so here's our rule. When we are adding or subtracting decimals, we line up the decimal points. So say we have 4.1 plus 62.3. Okay, so what they're saying is we line those up. So you know I always like to put my biggest number first. So we line up our decimal points so they are right in line with each other, and then we just bring it straight down. Okay, so that is what that means. Same thing for subtraction. Okay, if we had 72.64 minus 41.3, we are going to turn that into a problem where our decimal points are lined up. Okay, so we make sure that our decimal points are lined up, and we know we fill that with 0, subtract, bring our decimal point straight down. Okay, so that is what that means. Now, it says if you're multiplying, you just multiply and count decimal points. So say you have 0.03 times 4.1. So we can just put these however we want, multiply it, and then we just count over the decimal points is what that means. Okay, when we divide by a whole number, that's what we're learning today, we just move the decimal point up. For example, if we have 4.8 divided by 2, 2 is a whole number, so all I simply have to do is bring my decimal point straight up before I even begin dividing, and then I divide. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract, I have 0. I bring down 8 just like normal. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 2, subtract. Okay, that's exactly what we do. So let's try another one, because that's what today's lesson is just how we move the decimal point straight up. Also, you guys need to memorize this decimal chart. And then it says place decimal points on whole numbers, fill in empty places with zeros when you have your answers. Okay, so let's say we have 42 hundredths divided by 3. Okay, this means 42 hundredths divided by 3. Make sure you set that up correctly. This is a whole number, so I'm going to bring my decimal point straight up. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 3 goes into 4, 1 time. 1 times 4 is 3. Subtract, I have 1. Bring down my 2. 3 goes into 12, 4 times. Excuse me, 4 times 3 is 12, subtract, so I have that 14 hundredths as my answer. And that is all for today. So that is all the lesson for 129. Okay, the memory cue for dividing a decimal number by a whole number is up. Okay, sometimes we need to fill empty spaces with 0. Okay, for example, if we have 1500ths divided by 3, let's go ahead and write this out. Oops. So we have 1500ths divided by 3. So we know that our first thing is to bring our decimal point up. Okay. Now, the first number goes inside the division box here. Okay. And we have to see that we're filling this in with 0. The first number box goes inside the division box. The decimal point in the answer goes straight up. We divide and we fill empty spaces with 0. This is just normal division. Okay, 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 3 goes into 1, 0 times. 3 goes into 15, 5 times. Multiply that out. And you can actually multiply it all out with the zeros if you want to. Okay? So you just have to make sure that you're going step by step and seeing if the numbers go in at all. Like if 3 can go into 1, which it can't. Let's try another one. Let's try 24 thousandths divided by 3. They really like dividing by 3 with these problems. So we're going to have 0.024 divided by 3. First thing I do is I bring my decimal point straight up. 3 goes into 0. It can't go into 0. 3 goes into 0. Can't go into 0. So you have to actually fill these with 0. So you can't leave them blank. That's the whole point of this lesson of filling empty places with zeros. Is in decimal numbers, you do need to make sure you add the zeros. Okay, 3 goes into 2. It can't. It goes in 0 times. Now we're at 24. 3 goes into 24. How many times? 8. So what this is saying is you can't just leave these blank and jump over to 8. That doesn't work for decimal points. You actually have to fill in the empty spaces with 0. That is 24. No remainder. Okay, and that is the only thing about your lesson today is make sure you fill in empty spaces with 0 for these decimal numbers to make sense. Okay, you guys, I'm going to have you do A, C, E, G for practice problems. This is set 130, which is even. Remember, you're only doing 130, you're not doing 129. So you either have 130 even or all. And if you have even, let me double check to see if you have an extra problem. Yes, you have actually number 17. So your extra problem is number 17 for this assignment. Okay, Math 76, you just have lesson 129, and we're talking about using proportions to solve percent problems. We know that percent is expressed out of 100. For example, 30% equals what? We know that 30% equals 30 out of 100, okay? A percent may also be regarded as a ratio in which 100 represents the total number in the group. Let me give you an example of this. So if we make a ratio box, we remember that we have our ratio and we have our actual numbers, okay? So we have our ratio here, and then our actual number here. So our ratio is 30, and we know that the total is out of 100 because that's percent. Now let me read our problem. 30% of the students earned an A on the test. Okay, so 30% earned an A, which means the rest of them did not earn an A, so no A goes to the rest of them, okay? So 30% of the students earned an A on the test. If 12 students earned an A, the actual count of students who earned an A, 12. If 12 students earned an A, how many students were there in all? So this is what we have. Our ratio, 30%, so it's out of 100, so that's our total. Okay. Actual number of 30% is 12. Since the ratio total is 100, then we can fill this blank in. 30 plus what equals 100? 70. Okay? So now we can form a ratio. Our question, and this is our total, and those who did, we're going to say N for did not receive an A. Okay, so now we can actually turn this into a ratio and solve this. So we need to find our boxes that have information. So we're going to have 30 over 100%, and then remember we have to use the same box, is equal to 12 over T. That's how I set up the problem. Okay, and then we cross multiply. So I now have 30T, I'm going to write it over here, 30T, remember when a variable is right next to a number, that means multiplication. 30 times T is equal to 1200. Now my whole goal is to get this T by itself. So I have to do what? I have to divide it out, okay? So I have to divide by 30, divide by 30. So this leaves me with T. Now I can cross that out, right? Cross the 0 out. 3 can go into 12 4 times, and we have 0 left over, so 40. So then we fill in this box, sorry, wrong one, 40 students total. And that is how you find the answer. Okay, let's try another one. Only 40% of the team members played in the game. If 24 team members did not play, how many did play? Okay, we're going to be constructing a ratio box. We construct a ratio box. The categories are played and did not play. So we have our ratio, our actual, okay. Then we have those who played, those who did not play. We have our total. Okay, so we were told that 40% of the team members played. Percent is out of 100. 100 minus 40 is 60. So that is those who did not play. Okay? Only 40% of the team members played in the game. If 24 did not play, so actual numbers that did not play were 24. T equals total. And these are players who played. Okay, so that's how I'm going to set up my ratio box. It says, how many did play? So we have to use the box that says how many did play, and then the other box that has both answers filled in. So we're going to use these two boxes, and we will have 40 over 60 times P over 24. Okay, I'm going to show you a different way to do this that gets the same answer. So what we can do here is we can, instead of here, so we cross multiply, but we make it look like this. 60P is equal to 40 times 24. Okay? So instead of actually multiplying those together, we leave them separate. You can do either one of these methods, whatever you like best. Okay, so we know we have to divide out 60 and divide out 60. So I now have P equals 40 times 24 divided by 60. Okay, now we can cross cancel here. So we have 40, we can have 10 goes into both of these. Okay, so that becomes a 4, that becomes a 6, but then I can cross cancel again. 6 becomes a 1, 24 becomes a 4, P, and then I multiply those equals 16. Let's do it the other way where we actually multiply it together. So we have 60P is equal to 40 times 24. So 16, 960, 960 divided by 60, and cross out my zeros. 6 goes into 9 one time. 6 goes into 36. How many times? 6 times. So whatever way works best for you is great. Okay, you guys have A, B, C for practice problems, and then set 129. We have some on both all or half sets. This is 129, so it is odd. And on this one, let's see if there's any outside of the odd that you will need to do. This will include it, so you're good. Let me know if you guys have any questions.